right, the last thing we talked about was vasomotion, okay, movement of blood through the capillaries, controlled by capillary sphincters, all right? So where we're at now, veins. Now, when we think about veins, we need to think about them in such a manner that they are similar to arteries, but they're not the same. In fact, what's almost exactly the same as a vein is a lymphatic vessel. A lymphatic vessel is almost exactly the same as a vein. It has valves. It returns fluid to the heart. Okay? So lymphatic vessels and veins are pretty close to the same. Arteries, they're kind of in their own little world. So vasomotion, contraction and relaxation of relaxation cycle of the capillary sphincters. Okay, veins collect blood from the capillaries in the tissues and organs, return blood to the heart. Return it to the heart. Okay, so coronary sinus is a gigantic vein. Okay, pulmonary veins. What type of blood do pulmonary veins carry? Oxygenated blood. Yeah, remember there were some broken rules that the heart had? Apex at the bottom, base at the top. Veins carrying oxygenated blood, arteries carrying deoxygenated blood. Yeah. So, larger in diameter than arteries, have thinner walls, have lower blood pressure. Okay, and at the right atrium, 0. There's no pressure at all whatsoever there. Venules are very small veins. They collect blood from the capillaries, and then we do have medium-sized veins. I don't know what's up with that. Medium-sized. Thin tunica media, few muscles. We do get some vasoconstriction, some with veins, but not a lot. Not what you would think. All right? And then tunica externa with longitudinal bundles of elastic fibers. And that's because literally we're going to push the blood up, and then it's going to rest on the valve. We're going to push it up, and it's going to rest on the valve. And can we see that? Actually, yeah, you can. On people's arms that are very vascular, you can look at the vessel, the vein, on the superficial vein, and you'll see little indentations. It'll go across and indent in. Those are the valves. Okay, another example of it, which is not as glamorous, varicose veins. Okay, varicose veins. And basically what's happened there is the valves in the veins have given way. They're broken. And so the blood, instead of going up and staying in that chamber where there's a valve, actually goes up and then comes right back down and starts pooling in the one lower, putting pressure on it. And because it's pooling, it fills up with blood and they're visible. Varicose veins. All right? Now, large veins have all three tunics. Okay? Thick externa, thin media, venous valves. All the veins have valves except for the ones that are going the opposite direction. Do you need valves if you're going from the head to the heart? No, why? Gravity. Yeah, gravity's just going to pull it down. You don't need to stop it. Okay, folds of tunica intima prevent blood from flowing backwards. Compression pushes blood toward the heart. Compression. So literally, your skeletal muscles are doing this. Squeeze, and the blood goes up and hits a valve. Squeeze, the blood goes up and hits a valve. And they just keep doing that. Now, you probably at some point in time in your life or have already gotten an IV. Guess what? That's one of our biggest challenges, is getting that catheter, when we thread it in, getting it past a valve. Because it'll actually go in and bind on the tip of the valve. And it hurts because it'll bend that catheter inside of you. Now imagine way back when it was a needle and you had to leave the needle in the person. Now we use a plastic catheter. So we insert a needle and then we push the catheter in. And we pull the needle out so there's no needle in there, which is good. Because can you imagine bending your arm with a needle still in there? Yeah, not good. All right, so there you go. Notice the muscles, and look at the muscles that they're actually talking about. Do you use these muscles to run? Do you use these muscles when you're on an airplane? So are you getting the adequate return to your heart when you're sitting still for over 6 hours? No. And blood actually has a chance to clot, and that's why they say in an airplane you should do this. Because isn't this person's leg up and then down? Yeah, by doing that, your muscles are constantly squeezing. And because they're squeezing, guess what they're doing? Circulating. All right? Valve closed here. Blood pushes through, valve open. Notice that they are cusped. So what happens? Blood goes up, pushes down on the cusp, and closes it. Questions? Pretty cool. Now, your lymphatics are going to be exactly the same. Lymphatics run pretty close to the same as veins. The only difference is lymphatics is mainly used for surveillance. Lymphatics is part of our immune system, and we use it for surveillance and excessive fluids. Distribution of blood, well, heart, arteries, and capillaries, 30 to 35%. Notice the distribution of blood for the veins. 60 to 65%. 1/3 of venous blood is in the large venous networks of the liver, bone marrow, and skin. Now, why would we have a whole bunch of blood in the skin? Trick question. Exactly. Yeah, for temperature. It's what we call a blood reservoir. It's a blood reservoir, mainly for temperature changes. But it can be used for exercise. So when we do go out and go up the stairs 4 or 5 times, and you guys check your pulse rates, guess what? Where do you think that blood came from? The skin. The skin. You need more blood to get these big boys right here working properly. And because you need those working properly, we're gonna pull that blood from the skin. The skin's going to say, you know what, I don't need it right now. Boom, right to the legs. Okay? How many people had a really big breakfast this morning? Didn't think so. Yeah, so it's not in your stomach. You don't have the blood in the stomach, it's actually in your skin. Boom! Look at that. 21% skin, liver, and bone marrow. That's a pretty hefty number, huh? Venules and medium-sized veins, 25%. Large veins, 18%. Heart does get 7%, and then look at the rest of it. Now, that's per usage, okay? If you're sitting still like you are right now with your sleepy eyes on, you're like, Thursday. Okay? Yeah, you're not circulating a lot. It's in the skin, no big deal. When you guys get up and start moving up and down those stairs, guess what? We're going to start circulating more blood. So, capacitance of a blood vessel, the ability to stretch, the relationship between blood volume and blood pressure. Veins, capacitant vessels stretch more than arteries. Capacitant vessels. Okay, so we can actually take more fluid and then compress down, and take more fluid and compress down, and that's why a larger amount of blood is found in the veins. Okay, venous response to blood loss. Vasomotor center stimulates sympathetic nerves. Systemic veins constrict, venoconstriction. Okay, veins in the liver, skin, and lungs redistribute the venous reserve. Okay, so other than the fact that you'd be sweaty and blood circulating around, when you start exercising, guess what? Liver, stomach, skin takes all that extra blood and redistributes it to your legs and arms and heart. Now, obviously, it's going to circulate through your lung, pulmonary circulation, because we're breathing. Now, the lungs are going to create pressure, which is going to move venous return faster. Your legs, when you're running, are they squeezing? Yeah, so they're going to move faster. So yeah, we're going to speed up the circulation of blood. Questions? Is it just too early this morning? You guys look like glazed donuts right now. You're just like, I should have brought chocolate in. You guys would respond to that, wouldn't you? I mean, he's like, chocolate? She looked like a prairie dog. Like, chocolate. Right, Louisa? No, you don't like chocolate? Oh, get out of my class.
She loves chocolate.
Okay. Total capillary blood flow. All right, pressure and resistance equals cardiac output is determined by pressure and resistance in the cardiovascular system. So, on that note, pressure and resistance, pressure and resistance. Which one of these three, regardless of their diameter right now, which one of these three are going to have more resistance? That was 1,000 feet long. The 1,000's going to have the most resistance. Okay? Think about this. How easy is it to put a straw in a soda pop and draw out the fluid? Just any normal straw. Let's just use a McDonald's straw because those are always good for spit wads. Right? A McDonald's straw, right? You're drawing out the fluid. No problem. What if that straw was 1,000 feet long? How much effort would it be to draw out the soda pop? Okay, it goes both ways, resistance. All right, so very little resistance and an unbelievable amount of resistance. Now let's take it to the next step. Let's take it to the next step. How about this? Which one has more resistance? The smaller one. So now you've got to take those two factors into account. This small one, in length, has less resistance. This, in diameter, has more resistance. Okay? So if you have a short and a huge, you have almost no resistance whatsoever. And so it is no surprise that the pulmonary trunk is short and huge. That should be an aha moment for you guys right now. You should be going, okay, I get it now. It's short from the heart to the lungs, short, and it's gigantic. You guys saw how big it was compared to the aorta. It's huge. That is the perfect combination right there. This and 1,000 is the worst combination. Because now it takes more effort to push it through. There's more resistance. Yeah. Question. Pressure and resistance. Okay? Now it's determined, pressure and resistance determined by the vessels, by how hard the heart is pumping. If the heart's pumping really slow, is the blood going fast? No. No, so pressure is actually going to be a lot lower. But if the blood vessels squeeze down, what's the pressure going to do? Increase. What's the resistance going to do? Increase. So you have to take all of these things into account when you're thinking about it. Now, am I going to give you some crazy mathematical problem and say which one has more resistance and pressure? No. But you do need to know the highs and lows on both of these. So pressure, the heart generates pressure to overcome resistance. The heart generates pressure to overcome resistance. So, didn't we say that this has high resistance? So, what do you think? Is the heart going to work hard or very little? Very hard. How about right here? No. Nothing big. Absolute pressure is less important than pressure gradients. Absolute pressure is less important than pressure gradients. Now, pressure gradient circulatory pressure, the difference between the pressure at the heart and the pressure at the peripheral capillary beds. So, how much pressure do we have here as opposed to here? Okay, now it has to go from here to here, but what's the difference between the two? Okay, what about from here to here? Well, this is a bigger vessel, and that's what we're going to be doing. You guys are actually going to palpate this and see if you can find the brachial artery. Because this is actually the artery we use to get blood pressure. Okay? Flow, and not the gal from the commercial, the Progressive commercial, okay, but is proportional to pressure difference, or to the pressure difference. It's divided by R. Okay, again, anytime we use letters in mathematical problems, those people need to be arrested and thrown in jail for the rest of their lives. Okay, really? What's with the whole letters thing? Let's just think about this. It's divided by resistance. Okay? Now, flow, when you think about flow, you have to think about what is it flowing through. Is everybody getting that? What is it flowing through? Now, let's think about something everybody should know, has experienced before. How many people go and float the river or have floated a river in their life? Really? Those people who have not floated a river, that's really scary. That's like the number one thing to do in Western Washington because we don't get enough sun. Like when sun comes out, you run to the river and jump in and float it. But I'm going to use that example because Louisa's afraid of water. Okay? I'm going to use that example. So here's the example. When you're standing on the edge of the riverbank and you step in a little bit, is there very much flow? No, but it's meeting resistance because it's the edge of the riverbed. What about if you walk out like 4 feet and it's up to here? You're gone. Because there's more flow, there's less resistance. Does everybody know that from, okay, you should. If not, after class, go float the river. I don't know, I know it's raining, but just go. Go and jump in and test it out. All right? So, measuring pressure, well, blood pressure. Millimeters of mercury. That's right. Millimeters of mercury is how we measure it. Okay, arterial pressure. Then we have capillary hydrostatic pressure. You know what that is? Capillary hydrostatic pressure? Well, hydro means fluid, water. Okay, static, continuous pressure. Okay, and basically what they're saying is at the artery side of the capillary, it has pressure. So it has the pressure to push the fluids out of the capillary. What about the venous side? Is there enough pressure to do anything over there? No, and we're going to learn why. There is pressure, but not enough to do what we want it to. It says venous pressure in the venous system, and there's very little. It's not enough for what we need. It does do something, though. But blood pressure, we use that to test. Okay? Capillary pressure is the movement of fluid in and out of the capillaries. So, circulatory pressure. Okay? So, it's about 100 millimeters of mercury. Circulatory pressure must overcome total peripheral resistance. Well, this is peripheral resistance. It has to overcome it. That means it has to go from here out to here. It has to. All right? R of the entire cardiovascular. So, resistance of the entire cardiovascular system. So, let's do this just so you guys can get a visual. Because I know right now you're thinking, what? You know, I think it's an image day. Let's just do images. There. Beep, beep. Beep, beep, beep. Let's just like give it some like super duper hard qualities here. Here we go. It's beating. It's building pressure. Where do we take a blood pressure again? Right here. What's really close to it? The heart. Gives us the most accurate blood pressure that we can get. When we had the image on the board, what had more resistance? The big one or the small one? The small one. More resist, not long, big. The small one had the most resistance, the bigger one had less resistance. Okay? And then we said the short length one, not that much resistance, not that much pressure. Well, it depends on the heart. But the long one had what? More resistance, right? It was longer. So going from the heart to the aorta, it's pulsating. There's lots of pressure here, but not as much resistance. As we get a little smaller, the resistance starts kicking up again. The resistance starts kicking up a little bit more, but then it drops off. Why would the resistance and pressure drop off over here? It's a leaky hose. It's a leaky hose. By the time you get to that leaky hose, is there going to be any pressure there? Now, there's going to be resistance because the capillaries are small, but is there going to be any pressure? No, it's going to drop off. And so you have to think that way. Okay, the heart's beating to give us blood pressure. Okay? And as that pressure moves this way, it's creating resistance, okay? But then the pressure drops off because it's a leaky hose. So is pressure and resistance the same? No. Okay? Because what if this right here, we use green. What if this artery right here all of a sudden gets this? That. What if you get that? Yeah. It's more resistance and more pressure because the diameter just got smaller. Does everybody get that? So things that can cause increased blood pressure, not only the vessel constricting, but what's in the vessel. If your hamburger is in the vessel, there's less room for the blood to go through. And that's exactly what happens. Every time you eat a hamburger, boom, straight to your arteries. So total peripheral resistance, vascular resistance, blood viscosity, and turbulence. Now, vascular resistance is this. Okay? This is the resistance created by the vessels. If they're occluded, that creates more resistance. All right? If they're constricted, it creates more resistance. Okay? What if the blood is super, super sticky? There's not enough water. Blood viscosity. Now, overall length of the vessels is going to stay the same because we're not growing any new, but if we did, what would it be called? If we grew new blood vessels, what would that be called? Something Genesis. Fantastic. Phil Collins, Genesis? Yeah? Nice. Angiogenesis. So, Here's the aha moment again. I love this. I love this. So, vascular resistance, the length and the size and diameter of your vessels. Viscosity, the blood itself. Okay? The blood itself. How would we have higher viscosity? More red blood cells. So where would we have more red blood cells? One more time. What city has a 5,000 foot? Colorado's at 5,000 feet, right? High altitude, thank you. Yeah, you're going to create more red blood cells because there's less oxygen. So what happens to the viscosity then? It increases. Now, the last one is turbulence. I love this one, turbulence. And I know this is stuff you guys are like, ring's not working, it must stop. Let me show you. Turbulence. There's your blood vessel. Want to show me turbulence? Okay, just checking. There's your blood vessel. All of a sudden you get a little deposit of plaque. Right there. That's it. A little deposit of plaque. The blood's flowing through the blood vessel. It has to be smooth, it has to be clean, it has to be perfect. So watch what's going to happen. Here's your blood flowing through. Oh, that's good to go. That's good to go. Is that good for you? No. It will actually strike the plaque and start bouncing, creating turbulence, which is bad for you. Why is it bad? Because the more turbulence it creates, the more damage it can do to the vessel. Now, here's something really crazy. What if there's another piece of plaque right here? Well, because it started turbulence, it's going to rip this open. It's actually going to rip it open. And what's our first response to a ripped or torn blood vessel? Vascular spasm. So now what it does is it says, wow, we've got a problem here. Now we're going to close that area down so we can repair it. And then we're going to call in platelets to start repairing the tear. Then we're going to do fibrogen, fibrin, red blood cells. Can blood get through there now? No. Okay? And that is mainly what happens, what occurs in a coronary artery occlusion. That's what happens on a coronary artery. What half of the heart is mainly fed by the coronary arteries? The left. The left ventricle, to be exact. So now there's no blood flow there. The muscle begins to die off and you have an MI. What does MI stand for? Myocardial infarction. So is turbulence good for you? No. No, it will actually tear the vessel. It will actually cause problems. Question?
How long will it take all the process?
Well, the plaque takes years. 40 years of eating cruddy and no exercise and smoking cigarettes, yeah, chances are you've got some plaque going on there.
No, I mean after it's ripping all the...
After it rips, hour.
Oh, what?
Can you get rid of the plaque if you clean up your lifestyle?
You can slowly. It builds faster than you can get rid of it.
Really?
Oh, really? Now they do have drugs out there that you can purchase that helps reduce that. Obviously, aspirin will do what? It thins the blood. It goes after the factors, right? If we go after the factors, we have less of an ability to clot like this. If we have less of an ability to clot like that, the blood keeps flowing. Oh, now it's making sense and you guys are waking up. You're like, hold it, this is interesting. Yeah. Vascular resistance, blood viscosity, and turbulence. They all contribute to total peripheral resistance. Pretty crazy. Now, yeah, within an hour, if that tears.
I didn't know that there is like
Plaque in there?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you eat just vegetables, drink just water, and take vitamins? Then there's a chance of plaque being in there.
Really?
Notice I said there's a chance. I didn't say you do have it. Don't go home and start freaking out putting straws inside your blood vessels. Okay? Yes.
Will there always be high blood pressure?
Yep, always high blood pressure, and that's how we test for it.
Oh,
You go in, take your blood pressure. If it's high, guess what? I can tell you right now, my blood pressure is high right now. Totally. Oh, yeah.
what if it's always normal?
If it's always normal, then you really don't have a lot to worry about, do you? Okay. Vascular resistance due to friction between blood vessel and wall. Or excuse me, between blood and vessel. Okay, depends on the vessel length and the vessel diameter, which we just talked about. Okay, big diameter, less resistance. Small diameter, greater resistance. Okay, adult vessel length is constant. That means that we don't have a lot of new vessels. We can grow some new ones, but they're set. Vessel diameter varies by vasodilation and vasoconstriction. Resistance increases exponentially as vessel diameter decreases. So, here we go. How much resistance? None, so very little. Now how much? Yeah, a little bit more, right? Now how much? Through the roof. Okay? Viscosity. R, caused by molecules and suspended materials in a liquid, which would be blood, RBCs. Okay? Whole blood viscosity is about 4 times that of water. Okay? So, think about this. 4 times more viscous than this. So, if we had blood flowing out of here, it'd be considerably slower. Okay? Probably be glumping as it fell, but it'd still be flowing out of here. All right? You go to high altitudes, you increase that because you've got more red blood cells now. Turbulence, atherosclerosis, plaque. Okay? Swirling action, okay, disturbs smooth blood flow of the liquid, occurs in the heart chambers, great vessels, and plaque can cause abnormal turbulence. And that's just what I showed you right there. A buildup of plaque right here caused this to start doing this. Go ahead.
You know how people donate plasma?
Mm-hmm.
So if they have less plasma, isn't it bad?
It is, but their body will recover. They don't. The numbers are not enough. So that's why they tell you to take it easy, no exercise, drink extra fluid, and they give you a cookie.
Yeah?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's why they do that. Yeah, they're going to give you a little cookie, a little thing of orange juice. They're going to tell you to sit down for a few minutes, and then when you're done, you can go. Ellen, you don't ever have to worry about it. I know, because you weigh like 98 cents. You weigh $1. She weighs $1. She's barely gonna make it. Okay. Roberta, can you? No. Okay, size matters. Size matters. Okay, if you're tiny, if you're a little chitlin, can't donate blood. Okay. And if you want to donate blood, you still can't. Because it's just not going to happen. You're too small. They take that blood out of you, and you're going to collapse. Kaput. Yeah. There you go. Wow, their pictures are kind of cool, but mine's better. Mine's way better. Mine resulted in a heart attack. So awesome. So awesome. Okay, make sure you study these because it's extremely important. Okay? Oh my gosh, look at this, explanations, key terms. Oh, and additional key terms, and additional key relationships with the terms. An overview of cardiovascular pressure, vessel diameter, total cross-sectional areas, pressure, and velocity of blood flow. How fast is the blood flowing? How much pressure do we have? Vessel diameter. So do you think it's easy to take into account what might be wrong with someone if we have blood pressure, high blood pressure? No, it's not always easy. We do know that when it gets to a certain point, it's damaging. Okay? And I'm pretty sure you're probably thinking, I don't get it. Okay, well, let's test this theory. Put your hand up like this. Good? Okay? Can you feel that? Does it hurt? You okay? Yeah, that's your pressure right now in your body. Can you feel that? Yeah, that's high blood pressure. Is it good for you? No, not at all. No, her hand hurts. Excellent.